My wife said, "You're replaceable. Don't forget it." I didn't forget. I replaced myself with peace. She's been trying to fill the position for 2 years. No qualified candidates. All right, Reddit. Been thinking about posting this for months, but my buddy finally convinced me it's time. This happened 2 years ago, and honestly, I'm still processing how someone could be this level of clueless. Grab your favorite snack because this one's a ride. I'm 36 male, a commercial HVAC technician. Started as an apprentice at 19, got my journeyman license at 23, and spent the last 8 years running my own operation with 2 employees. Nothing flashy, but we clear about $140,000 annually after expenses, and I own my service van outright. Got a modest house in the suburbs, paid off my student loans from trade school, and built up a solid retirement account. The American dream, basically. Met my ex-wife Julie, 34 female, 9 years ago at a community barbecue. She worked as a dental hygienist, made decent money, had her own car, independent, funny, seemed to have her life together. We clicked immediately over our mutual hatred of pretentious people and love of old Western movies. She actually laughed at my dumb jokes about thermostats and compressors, which was refreshing after years of girls who glazed over when I talked about work. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. Nothing crazy, just took her to this lookout point she loved and asked her to marry me with a ring I'd saved up 6 months to buy. She cried, said yes, and we got married at a small ceremony the following spring. Her parents loved me, my parents loved her, and for the first 5 years, everything was genuinely solid. Those first 5 years were honestly great. We were a team. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. for emergency calls, and she'd have coffee ready. She'd talk about difficult patients at the dental office, and I'd listen while working on whatever project I had going in the garage. We'd split household chores without keeping score, made decisions together, supported each other's goals. I remember when I was bidding on my first major commercial contract, a multi-building apartment complex that needed complete HVAC overhaul. Spent 3 weeks putting together that proposal, stressed beyond belief, because landing it would mean upgrading equipment and hiring help. Julie sat with me every night, helped me organize the bid documents, proofread everything. When I got the contract, she was more excited than I was. Took me out to dinner to celebrate with money from her own account. That's the Julie I married. The partner who celebrated wins and weathered losses together. The woman who understood that building something worthwhile takes time and sacrifice. Our weekends were simple but good. We'd hit the farmer's market Saturday mornings, grab breakfast at this diner we loved, spend afternoons working on the house or just hanging out. Nothing Instagram-worthy, but it was ours. We'd have friends over for game nights. Take road trips to small towns just to explore. Watch old westerns on the couch with homemade popcorn. Money was tight sometimes, especially in the early business years. But we made it work, lived within our means, saved what we could, built equity in the house. Julie never complained about not having the fanciest stuff, actually took pride in finding good deals and making our place feel like home without breaking the bank. Her friends from the dental office would talk about their boyfriend's drama, and Julie would just smile and say she hit the jackpot with a guy who showed up, worked hard, and treated her right. Used to make me feel 10 feet tall hearing that. But yeah, somewhere around year 6, the foundation started cracking. The problems started creeping in around year 6. Looking back, I can pinpoint exactly when things shifted. Julie's younger sister Natalie got engaged to this hotshot sales director at a pharmaceutical company. Guy drove a BMW, wore designer suits, talked constantly about his stock portfolio and vacation properties. Every family dinner became a showcase of Natalie and Brad's perfect life. New watch here, weekend in Napa there, surprise yacht party for Natalie's birthday. At first, Julie would roll her eyes at their bragging. We'd drive home and she'd mock Brad's condescending tone or Natalie's fake laugh. It was our thing. We were the grounded couple who valued substance over flash. I remember one specific dinner where Brad spent 45 minutes explaining his company's sales strategy like he was delivering a keynote speech. Used all these corporate buzzwords that meant nothing. Synergy, paradigm shifts, leveraging core competencies. Julie and I made eye contact across the table, and I could tell she was fighting not to laugh. On the drive home, she did this spot-on impression of him saying, "We're really optimizing our vertical integration," that had me cracking up. "Thank God you're normal," she said that night. I couldn't deal with that level of pretentious every day. That was March of year 6. By June, everything had shifted. Then something changed. Julie started making comments. Small stuff at first. Brad took Natalie to that new steakhouse downtown. Supposed to be amazing. Or, Natalie showed me pictures from their ski trip. The lodge looked incredible. Always with this wistful tone, like she was reading about someone else's fairy tale. The comments became more frequent and more pointed. We'd be watching TV and a car commercial would come on. Brad just leased a new Audi, she'd mention casually. Natalie says it drives like a dream. Never mind that my paid-off truck got me everywhere I needed to go with zero monthly payment. Or we'd be planning a Saturday and she'd say, Natalie and Brad are going wine tasting in Sonoma this weekend. Not, hey, we should do something fun, or want to take a day trip. Just this passive observation that they were doing something better than us. The worst was when we'd be out with friends. Someone would ask about vacation plans, and Julie would sigh before answering. Nothing exciting. We might do a weekend somewhere local. Not like Natalie and Brad. They're going to Italy for 2 weeks. Said it like we were prisoners in our own boring life. I started keeping track mentally. Realized she mentioned Brad or Natalie at least once a day, sometimes 5 or 6 times. Their new furniture, their dinner parties, their workout routine, their everything. I suggested we take a vacation. Had some money saved up, told her to pick anywhere she wanted within reason. She got excited, started researching places. Then Natalie posted about their 2-week Mediterranean cruise, and suddenly our weekend in Colorado wasn't good enough anymore. Maybe we should wait, Julie said. Save up for something really special. Fair enough. I worked extra jobs, built up the savings. 6 months later, I told her we had enough for a solid vacation. She barely reacted. Said she'd been thinking about it, and maybe we should use that money for home improvements instead. The house was fine, but whatever made her happy. That's when the real complaints started rolling in. Our kitchen is so outdated, she'd say, while scrolling through home renovation accounts on Instagram. Never mind that the kitchen was perfectly functional. I'd installed new appliances myself 2 years prior and refinished the cabinets. But it wasn't granite countertops and a farmhouse sink, so it was basically a shack. She started leaving tabs open on her laptop. Design websites, Pinterest boards full of luxury kitchens that would cost $50,000 to replicate. Would show me pictures asking, "Don't you think this would look amazing?" When I'd point out the cost, she'd get this disappointed look like I was crushing her dreams by being realistic. One Sunday, she suggested we drive by some model homes in a new development. Said she just wanted to get ideas. We spent 2 hours walking through houses that cost 3 times what ours did. She took pictures of everything. Tile patterns, light fixtures, closet configurations. On the drive home, she was quiet. Finally said, "Don't you ever want something nicer?" "Our house is nice," I said. "It's paid off in 8 years. How many people our age can say that?" Natalie and Brad just bought a place twice this size. Natalie and Brad have twice the mortgage. Different priorities. She stared out the window the rest of the drive home. She started making comments about my truck. It was a 2015 F-150 with 90,000 miles. Perfectly maintained, ran like a dream. But it wasn't new enough. "Brad just got a new pickup," she mentioned once. "Says the new models have all these safety features." I pointed out that my truck was safe and paid for, which meant no monthly payment eating into our savings. She just shrugged and went back to her phone. The passive-aggressive shots at my work became more frequent. Before, she'd been proud to tell people her husband ran his own business. Now, when people asked what I did, she'd say, "HVAC stuff," in this dismissive tone, like I cleaned sewers for a living. At her dental office holiday party, one of her coworkers asked about my business. Before I could answer, Julie jumped in with, "He fixes air conditioners." Said it the same way you'd say, "He collects trash." The coworker looked uncomfortable and changed the subject. Another time we were at a neighborhood cookout and this guy asked what I drove. Perfectly normal question. I told him about my F-150, and we started talking trucks like guys do. Julie rolled her eyes so hard I'm surprised she didn't sprain something. Later she said, "You don't have to bore everyone with truck talk. We were having a conversation. He asked me questions." Still, it's not that interesting. But when Brad talked about his company car and expense account, she hung on every word. The shift was subtle but constant. She'd tune out when I talked about landing a new contract or solving a complex HVAC problem, but light up when Brad mentioned his quarterly bonuses or business trips. Started asking him questions about his work, showing interest she used to show in mine. One time at a family dinner, Brad started talking about his sales numbers and quarterly bonuses. Julie chimed in with, "Must be nice to work somewhere with advancement opportunities." I was standing right there. Brad looked uncomfortable. I just took a drink of my water and changed the subject. But the worst moment came about 14 months ago at Natalie's engagement party. Not her actual engagement, mind you. Her engagement party. Because apparently getting engaged now requires a separate celebration with catered food and a photographer. The whole thing was over the top. Held at some upscale restaurant with a private room. Probably cost more than my first car. Everything was white and gold. Professional photographer walking around capturing candid moments. Champagne flowing. Brad giving this speech about how he knew Natalie was the one. That sounded like he'd hired a writer. I was in the backyard with some of the other guys, talking about the upcoming season. Julie was inside with the women. I headed in to grab a drink and walked past the kitchen, just as I heard my name. How's Julie doing with everything? That was Natalie's friend. Some girl named Bethany who worked in real estate and wore too much perfume. I stopped outside the doorway. Shouldn't have eavesdropped, but something made me pause. She's fine, Julie said. Her voice had this edge to it I'd never heard before. I mean, we're not all lucky enough to marry someone like Brad? My stomach dropped. Literally felt it plummet. Silence. Then Natalie laughed. Girl, you settled hard. But hey, at least he's handy around the house, right? More laughter. Like it was the funniest joke they'd ever heard. My wife, laughing about how she'd settled for me. Then Julie's voice, quieter but clear. Sometimes I look at what you and Brad have and just think, is this it? Like, this is my life forever? Someone else chimed in. You should talk to him about it. Maybe he could what? Julie interrupted. Get a different job? Suddenly become someone he's not? I chose this. Now I have to live with it. Chose this. Like marrying me was picking the wrong option on a multiple choice test, and now she was stuck with the consequences. I didn't wait to hear more. Went back outside, sat down, finished my drink. Didn't say anything for the rest of the party. Julie asked if I was okay on the drive home. I said I was tired. She seemed relieved to drop it. That conversation played on repeat in my head for weeks. The woman I'd built a life with thought she'd settled for me. Thought her sister's flashy lifestyle was the benchmark for happiness. Thought my steady, reliable work and our comfortable life was something to be ashamed of. Couldn't sleep that night. Or the next. Kept hearing her laugh. That bitter, resigned laugh of someone who'd given up on their dreams and blamed their partner for it. Started questioning everything. Every interaction. Every conversation. Looking for signs I'd missed. Found plenty. I started paying closer attention after that. Noticed how she'd sigh when I came home in my work clothes. How she'd compare everything we did to what Brad and Natalie were doing. How she'd go silent whenever I talked about work, but light up when Natalie mentioned their latest purchase. She'd scroll through Natalie's Instagram every night before bed, just sitting there looking at pictures of their house, their car, their vacations. Sometimes she'd show me things with this longing expression. Look at their new patio furniture. Isn't it gorgeous? It's nice, I'd say. Ours works fine though. She'd put the phone down without responding, but I could see it in her face. Our stuff didn't work fine. It was inadequate. A constant reminder that she'd married down. The physical affection started dropping off too. Used to be she'd greet me with a kiss when I got home. Started just calling out hey from wherever she was in the house. Used to cuddle on the couch during movies. Now she'd sit at the other end scrolling her phone. I tried talking to her about it. Asked if everything was okay between us. Got the standard I'm fine, just stressed response. Work was hard. Life was busy. The usual deflections. But I knew better. This wasn't stress. This was disappointment. And I was the source. 6 months after that party, things hit a breaking point. It was a Tuesday night in February. I'd had a rough day dealing with a commercial HVAC emergency at a medical building. Spent 8 hours in a cramped mechanical room, fixing a system that kept 30 offices warm. Came home exhausted, dirty, ready for a shower and dinner. Julie was on the couch, scrolling her phone. I asked what she wanted for dinner. She didn't look up. Whatever, I'm not really hungry. I grabbed a shower, threw on clean clothes, made myself a sandwich. Sat down on the couch next to her. Long day? She asked, still looking at her phone. Yeah, commercial emergency. Good money though. She made this dismissive sound. Almost a scoff. Something wrong? I asked. Nope. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she held up her phone. Natalie and Brad just put an offer on a lake house. Their second property. That's nice for them. Must be nice, she said. That phrase again. She said it like it was my fault we didn't own waterfront property. We've got a nice life, I said, keeping my voice calm. Own our home, no debt, good savings. We're doing fine. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And what I saw in her eyes wasn't love or partnership. It was resentment. Fine, she said. We're doing fine. Not great. Not amazing. Just fine. What do you want, Julie? I want more than this. More what? More money? More stuff? What specifically? She set her phone down. I want to feel like I married someone with ambition. Someone who wants to do more than just maintain. That one stung. I built my business from nothing. Worked 70-hour weeks when I started out. Earned every certification, every client, every dollar. Maintained financial stability through a recession. Put put us in a position where we had options and security. But because I wasn't chasing the next shiny thing or bragging about stock portfolios, I lacked ambition. I have ambition, I said. I built a successful business. We have financial security. That takes ambition. You know what I mean? No, I really don't. Explain it. She picked her phone back up. Conversation over, apparently. I went to bed early. Lay there thinking about everything. About the comments, the comparisons, the contempt that had slowly poisoned our marriage. About whether this was fixable or if we were just going through motions. The answer came 2 weeks later. I was running errands on a Saturday morning when I realized I'd left my phone at home. Drove back to grab it and walked in to find Julie on the phone in our bedroom, door closed. She didn't hear me come in. I'm just saying, if I'd known then what I know now. She paused, listening. No, he's a good guy. He's just, I don't know, boring? Predictable? There's no excitement. Brad takes you places, does things. We just exist. I stood frozen in the hallway. Should have walked away. Should have made noise so she'd know I was there. But I couldn't move. Another pause. I'm not saying I'd leave. I'm just saying I wonder what life would be like if I'd waited for someone more, I don't know, more. That word hung in the air like a grenade. Whoever she was talking to said something that made her laugh. Not a happy laugh, a bitter one. Right? Like I'm supposed to be grateful for reliable when Natalie gets reliable and exciting and successful. How is that fair? Life isn't fair, I thought. But saying that wouldn't help. Anyway, I should go. He'll be back soon. Yeah, love you too. I backed out of the room quietly, grabbed my phone from the kitchen counter where I'd actually left it, and headed back out. Sat in my truck for a solid 20 minutes just processing. More. She wanted more. And I was apparently less. That word replaceable came later. But that conversation was when I started preparing. I called my accountant that Monday, confirmed our accounts were properly separated, made sure my business finances were completely independent from our joint accounts, started documenting everything. Call it paranoid, but my dad got destroyed in his divorce, and I learned young to protect yourself. Spent the next month watching Julie closely. She wasn't having an affair, at least not that I could tell. But emotionally, she'd checked out. Came home from work, planted herself on the couch with her phone, barely spoke to me beyond necessities. I tried a couple times to talk about it. Asked if she wanted to do marriage counseling. She said we didn't need it. Things were fine. That word again, fine. The final straw came on a Sunday afternoon in March. We were at her parents' house for a family dinner. Brad was there talking about some promotion he'd gotten. Everyone's congratulating him, asking questions. He's eating it up, explaining his new role and salary like he's giving a TED Talk. Then Julie's dad turned to me. How's the business going? Really good, I said. Just hired a third guy, expanding the service area. That's wonderful, her mom said. You've built something really solid. Julie laughed. Actually laughed. This sharp, bitter sound. Everyone looked at her. What's funny? Her dad asked. Nothing, just solid. That's one way to put it. Her mom frowned. Julie, that was rude. I'm just being honest. We're not all going to pretend like running a small HVAC business is the same as Brad's corporate career. The table went silent. Brad looked at his plate. Natalie tried to change the subject. Her parents looked mortified. I stood up calmly, grabbed my jacket. Where are you going? Julie asked. Home. Enjoy your dinner. I drove home, walked straight to my office, and pulled out every piece of financial documentation I had. Spent the rest of the night organizing everything, making lists, planning. Julie came home around 9, found me in the office. That was embarrassing, she said. You're right, it was. I meant you leaving. I meant you disrespecting me in front of your family. She rolled her eyes. Oh, please. I was just being honest. Honest about what? That you think my work is beneath you? That you're ashamed of what I do? I'm not ashamed. I'm just realistic. We're never going to have what Natalie and Brad have. What do they have that we don't? Everything. A nice car, vacations, a lake house, respect. That last word hung in the air. Respect, I repeated. You think respect comes from owning a lake house? It comes from ambition, from wanting more out of life than just getting by. We're not getting by. We're thriving. We have savings, investments, no debt except the mortgage. We're better off than most people our age. She crossed her arms. We're comfortable. That's it. Just comfortable. I thought I'd marry someone who wanted to build something bigger, someone impressive. I built a business from nothing. A small business. Brad's managing a whole region. Brad works for someone else. I work for myself. There's a difference. The difference is he's going somewhere. You're just maintaining. There it was again. That word. I took a breath. I think we need to talk about what you really want here, I said. I want a partner who doesn't just settle for average. And I want a partner who respects me and the work I do. Seems like we're both disappointed. She shifted uncomfortably. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm tired of being compared to your brother-in-law. I'm tired of you treating my career like it's something to apologize for. I'm tired of feeling like I'm not enough. Well, maybe if you pushed yourself more. I push myself every single day. I built something real. But that's never going to be good enough for you because it's not flashy. It's not something you can brag about at parties. She went quiet. Then, maybe we want different things. Maybe we do. Neither of us said anything for a minute. Then she went upstairs to bed. I stayed in my office until after midnight, making more lists, running numbers. The word came 3 days later. We were barely speaking. I'd moved to the guest room, going through motions. I was at the kitchen table going over invoices when she came in from work. She stood in the doorway watching me work. You know what your problem is? She said. I didn't look up. I'm sure you'll tell me. You're replaceable. That's your problem. You do work that anyone with a trade license can do. You're not special. You're not irreplaceable. You're just there. I set down my pen, looked at her. Replaceable, I said. Yeah, Brad has skills that matter, knowledge that's valuable. You fix air conditioners. There are thousands of guys who can do that. You're right, I said calmly. I am replaceable in my field. Any skilled HVAC tech can do the work I do. But here's the thing, Julie. In this marriage, so am I. And you just made that very clear. Her face changed, like she realized she'd crossed a line, but didn't know how to uncross it. I didn't mean, you meant exactly what you said. I'm replaceable. Don't worry, I won't forget it. I went back to my invoices. She stood there for another minute, then went upstairs. That was a Wednesday. By Friday, I'd made my decision. Called a lawyer that weekend. Not for divorce yet, just for consultation. Wanted to know what I was looking at if things went that direction. Lawyer laid out the reality. Colorado's a no-fault state. Assets would be split. Spousal support depended on various factors. Business would be valued and potentially divided. Fine. I could live with that. What I couldn't live with was staying in a marriage where my partner viewed me as replaceable. Spent the next 2 weeks getting everything in order. Made copies of every financial document, cataloged assets, backed up important files. Met with the lawyer twice more to discuss strategy. The lawyer's office became my planning headquarters. Brought in bank statements, investment accounts, business records, tax returns. She went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Asked about inheritance, gifts, anything that might be considered separate property. Explained how Colorado law worked. Equitable distribution, not necessarily equal. Factors like length of marriage, earning capacity, contributions to marital estate. I documented everything. Created spreadsheets tracking our finances month by month. Photographed items in the house. Made lists of who bought what, who paid for what. My project management skills came in handy for once in my personal life. The lawyer warned me this could get ugly. When one spouse feels entitled and the other sets boundaries, they don't usually take it well, she said. Be prepared for her to fight. Be prepared for things to get personal. I was prepared. Had been preparing since I overheard that phone call. Kept a journal too. Dated entries about interactions, conversations, her behavior. Times she compared me to Brad. Instances of disrespect. Not because I wanted ammunition, but because I knew my own memory would soften things. Would make me question if it was really that bad. The journal kept me honest with myself. Julie and I were basically roommates at that point. She'd come home, retreat to her phone, barely acknowledged my existence. I kept things civil but distant. No fighting, no big discussions. Just coexisting. The moment I decided to pull the trigger came on a random Tuesday in April. I'd just finished a job at a retirement home, replacing an aging HVAC system. The manager, this woman probably in her 60s, walked me through the building showing me the difference the new system made. Residents were comfortable for the first time in months. She was genuinely grateful, gave me this handshake and said, "You do important work. These folks were suffering. You fixed that." Drove home thinking about that. About the medical building I'd repaired so patients didn't freeze. About the school where I'd fixed their heating right before winter hit. About all the families whose homes I'd kept comfortable through brutal summers and freezing winters. My work mattered. I helped people. I provided an essential service. I did it well and charged fair prices. That wasn't replaceable. That was valuable. Got home and Julie was on the couch, scrolling through Natalie's lake house photos again. "Hey," she said without looking up. "Brad got another promotion. Natalie just posted about it." "Good for Brad." She glanced at me. "You don't have to be snippy." I'm not. I genuinely hope Brad does well. But I don't care about comparing our lives to theirs anymore. What's that supposed to mean? I sat down across from her. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about me being replaceable. She had the decency to look uncomfortable. Look, I was frustrated. No, you were honest. And I appreciate that. Because you're right. I am replaceable. In my field, in my work, there are other guys who can do what I do. Maybe not as well, but they exist. Same way you're replaceable at your dental office. Same way Brad's replaceable at his company. We're all replaceable professionally, okay? But in a marriage, in a partnership, nobody should feel replaceable. And you made me feel exactly that. So I've made a decision. Her expression shifted, concern creeping in. What decision? I'm replacing myself with peace, with self-respect, with a life where I'm valued instead of compared to someone else's highlight reel. Oh, what are you saying? I'm saying I want a divorce. The color drained from her face. You're joking. Do I look like I'm joking? She set her phone down, sat up straight. Because of one comment I made? Because of hundreds of comments. Because you've spent the last year making it clear I'm not enough. Because I'm tired of being treated like a consolation prize. That's not fair. I never said... You said I was replaceable. You compared me to Brad constantly. You dismissed my work, my accomplishments, our life together. You made me feel like I was failing you just by being me. I was just frustrated. All couples go through rough patches. This isn't a rough patch. This is who you've become. Or maybe who you always were and I just didn't see it. She stood up, started pacing. You're being dramatic. We can work on this. We can go to counseling. I suggested counseling 3 months ago. You said we didn't need it. Well, I was wrong. We can start now. We can fix this. I shook my head. I don't want to fix this. I want to be with someone who respects me, who values what I bring to the table, who doesn't need me to be someone else. I do respect you. You called me replaceable. I was angry. Angry people tell the truth. You meant it. And I'm done pretending that's okay. She sat back down, started crying. I'd seen her cry before, but this felt different, more strategic than genuine. We can work through this, she said. Please, I love you. You love the idea of me. The steady paycheck. The reliable guy who fixes things. But you don't respect me. And I'm not doing this anymore. Doing what? Apologizing for not being Brad. For not making you feel like a queen on Instagram. For building a normal, stable life instead of a flashy one. I'm done. The tears stopped pretty quick. Her expression hardened. Fine. If that's what you want. It is. You're making a huge mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. She grabbed her phone and her purse. I'm staying at Natalie's tonight. That works. She headed for the door, then turned back. You know what? You're right. You are replaceable. And I can do better. I hope you do. You deserve to be with someone who impresses you. And I deserve to be with someone who appreciates me. She left. I heard her car pull away and sat there in the silence of my own house. No comparisons, no judgments, no feeling like I was constantly failing some invisible test. Just peace. Filed for divorce the next day. Julie got the papers a week later and apparently lost her mind. Called me 17 times. I let every call go to voicemail. Her messages went from angry to bargaining to angry again. You can't just give up on us. We can fix this if you stop being stubborn. This is about your ego. You're going to regret this. Responded to exactly none of them. My lawyer told her lawyer all communication needed to go through them. Julie tried showing up at my house twice. I didn't answer the door. She tried ambushing me at a job site. I told her she was trespassing and I'd call the police if she didn't leave. She left. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Julie fought me on everything. Wanted the house, half my business, spousal support. Her lawyer tried arguing that she'd sacrificed her career to support mine. Except she hadn't. She'd worked the same job the entire marriage while I built my business on nights and weekends. My lawyer shredded those arguments. We ended up splitting assets roughly 50-50. She got half our savings, half the investment accounts. I kept the business and bought out her half of the house by giving her the equivalent value in cash. No spousal support since we both worked and had similar earning capacity when you factored in benefits. The whole process was ugly. Julie tried turning her family against me. Her parents actually called to apologize, said they didn't agree with how she was behaving. Natalie apparently told Julie she was being ridiculous, which caused a huge fight between the sisters. Brad stayed out of it entirely. Julie's friends took her side, of course. Started posting vague things about knowing your worth and not settling. Fine by me. Anyone who knew the real story knew better. Through it all, I stayed calm. Went to work, focused on my business, hit the gym, spent time with friends who actually valued me. The peace I'd been looking for slowly became my reality. The divorce finalized in December, right before the holidays. I spent Christmas with my parents and felt genuinely happy for the first time in over a year. Now here's where it gets interesting. About 3 months after the divorce finalized, I ran into Julie's mom at the grocery store. We'd always gotten along, so when she asked how I was doing, I gave an honest answer. Really good, actually. Business is growing. Bought a new fishing boat. Life's peaceful. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm glad you're doing well. I wish... She trailed off. Wish what? I wish Julie had appreciated what she had. We tried to tell her. Her father and I both tried, but she just couldn't stop comparing. How is she doing? I asked, more out of politeness than genuine curiosity. Her mom sighed. Not great. She's been dating, but nothing's working out. She keeps saying the guys are either too boring or too unreliable. Can't seem to find what she's looking for. I nodded sympathetically. Didn't point out the irony of wanting exciting and reliable in the same package, while rejecting the reliable guy who provided excitement through stability. I'm sure she'll figure it out, I said. She asks about you sometimes. Wants to know how you're doing. I think... She looked uncomfortable. I think she realizes she made a mistake. That's something she'll have to live with. Would you ever consider? No, I said gently but firmly. That chapter's closed. I'm in a different book now. She nodded sadly, and we said our goodbyes. That conversation happened about 18 months ago. Since then, I've heard through the grapevine that Julie's been struggling. Not financially. She works and does fine. But personally. My buddy who's friends with Natalie's husband told me Julie's been on every dating app imaginable. Gone on probably 50 first dates. Few second dates. No third dates. She apparently has a checklist of what she wants, and nobody measures up. According to the grapevine, she wants someone successful, but not boring. Ambitious, but not absent. Financially stable, but spontaneous. Basically wants Brad's bank account with a rock star's lifestyle. Good luck with that. Meanwhile, I've been living my best life. Grew the business by 40% in the last year. Hired 2 more employees and bought a second service van. Invested in better equipment. Raised my rates because I'm worth it, and clients pay without complaint because they value quality work. Bought that fishing boat I mentioned? Nothing fancy, just a solid 18-footer perfect for lake trips. Spend most summer weekends out on the water with my dog Max, a rescue German Shepherd I adopted 6 months ago. Best decision I've made in years. That dog doesn't care about my bank account or compare me to anyone. Just wants walks and belly rubs and thinks I'm the greatest human alive. Started dating again about a year after the divorce. Took it slow. Went on some casual dates, nothing serious. Then about 4 months ago, I met Patricia. She's a veterinarian, runs her own practice. Met her when I took Max in for a checkup. She asked about my work. Seemed genuinely interested in how HVAC systems function. Told me about the time her clinic's air conditioning died in August, and how the emergency tech who fixed it probably saved 3 surgeries that day. You guys don't get enough credit, she said. People take climate control for granted until it's gone. Asked her to dinner that night. Best decision in recent memory. Patricia gets it. She runs her own business, understands the grind. Appreciates stability because she built her own. Doesn't need me to be anything other than who I am. We split checks, plan trips together, actually communicate about wants and needs. Last month she met my parents. My mom pulled me aside and said, "This one values you. Don't let her go." No plans to. Here's the kicker though. 2 weeks ago, I got a message on social media from Julie. Just a simple, "Hey, how are you?" Didn't respond. Didn't block her. Just left it on read. She sent another message 3 days later. "I've been thinking about us a lot lately. About the good times we had. Do you ever think about that?" Still didn't respond. Then last week, a longer message. "I know I messed up. I know I didn't appreciate what we had. I was stupid and shallow. And I threw away something real. For something that doesn't even exist. I see that now. Is there any chance we could talk? Maybe grab coffee? I miss you." I showed Patricia the messages. Her response? "What are you going to say?" "Nothing. That chapter's closed, remember?" She smiled and kissed me. Good answer. But out of curiosity, I asked my buddy what he knew about Julie's situation. Turns out, Natalie and Brad are getting divorced. Brad was apparently having an affair with someone from his office for the last year. Natalie found out, lost her mind, kicked him out. The perfect life Julie was so envious of? Total facade. They're selling the lake house to split assets. Brad's paying massive spousal support. The whole empire is crumbling. And Julie's suddenly realizing that the stable, reliable, boring life she had wasn't so bad after all. Too late. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.